Okay, so for today's lesson, what we are going to do is we're talking about triangle inequalities. So basically, consider that you're an architect. How long must each side of the drawbridge be so that the bridge spans the river when both sides come down? Well, if you think about it, when both sides are going to come down, they're actually going to touch each other so that they actually cross the span of this river. So in terms of creating a triangle, what looks like would be a triangle really quite isn't, because here's one of those pieces of the bridge, the drawbridge, here's the other, and here's the span that it crosses. Well, it turns out that those two top spans do not touch, because when they come down, they have to equal the length all the way across the bridge. Well, what would happen is if we were to extend the sides somehow, so then we'd have corner to corner. Then when those two sides came down, they would actually overlap. So in order to create a triangle, we'd have to make each of those smaller sides a little bit longer. And what it turns out is that the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle has to be greater than the length of the third side. And we talk about the any two sides. The any two sides really mean the two shorter sides. And then the third side really means the longer side. So what we're saying is if we were to have the sides being A and B as the smaller sides, they have to be larger than the third side, or C. When we use that with math problems, we're basically being told that, okay, here are three sides of a triangle. Will we be able to take these three sides and create a triangle? So is it possible to draw a triangle is really what I should say with these three sides? Well, if I look at my two smaller sides and I add them up, I actually get 3. Well, because 3 is not greater than 3, this will not make a triangle, okay? Because 1 plus 2 is not greater than 3. If I take a look at the second set of sides, my two shorter sides are these guys. When I add the two shorter sides together, 18 plus 21, I get in fact 39, and 39 is greater than 32. So yes, these three sides could join point to point and create a triangle. On the last set on C, when I take a look at the two shorter sides here and I add them up, I get 8, and then 8 is not greater than 11. So then no, I can't create a triangle. Well, how do you find that third side? What would the possible value be for the third side if you're only given 2? So if you're given two sides, 21 and 27, there's a whole bunch of possibilities for that third side. So what we can do is let's just say that the third side that we're looking for, let's assume that that's going to be our smallest side. If x is going to be our smallest side, then the two smallest sides for this particular problem would be x and 21, and I'd have to make them greater than that third side when I added them up. Well, when I solve for x, I know that my value for x has to be more than 6. So 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. Well, I can't go too big, because then if I go too big, I'm going to actually not work in my formula. So let's take the fact that we'll have x act as the largest side. So if x acts as the largest side, then what happens is 21 and 27 are the two sides that we add together to be bigger than x. So what happens here is 48 ends up being more than x, or x is less than 48. So any number less than 48, when plugged in, I'd be able to add 21 and 27, and I'd be more than that particular value. So bottom line, what happens here is to find the possible sides of the third side, it would be where 6 would be less than x, which would be less than 48. In other words, x has to be more than 6, because that's what we found on one side. At the same time, x has to be less than 48. And this is how you would write the inequality. 6 is less than x, which is less than 48. The shortcut to figure this out, really, is just add and subtract those values. So if you add and subtract the values, you find all of your possible sides, because 21 plus 27 is 48. 48 is the largest value. It's got to be less than that. And 27 minus 21 is 6. That's the smallest value, but you've got to be more than that. Sorry about the bell. It's going to happen again. There's an investigation that we're not going to be doing today, but I'm just going to explain this to you. How do you find the largest and smallest angles? Well, the angle relationship has something to do with the sides, and I think it would make a lot of sense that if you're going to have, whoops, the wrong way, that the longest side of a triangle is always going to be opposite your longest or your largest angle. Can't be longest, have to be largest. So whatever the biggest angle degree, the side opposite that is going to be your biggest side. Well, the shortest side is going to always be opposite the smallest angle. And that should make a lot of sense. So when we need to list the sides and angles from least to greatest, on the first one we're just going to list the sides because the angles are given to us. You do need to find angle M, and so by doing the math, when you add up 127 and 29 degrees and you subtract it from 180, what's missing is actually 24 degrees, so angle M is 24 degrees. So in terms of the smallest side, well, the line segment opposite 24 degrees is your smallest side. That's MP. NP is going to be less than the next side, which is opposite 29 degrees, and that's going to be less than MN. And then that's going to be smaller than the largest side opposite the largest angle, which is going to now be MP. So from least to greatest, the smallest side opposite the smallest angle, the largest side opposite the largest angle, and that's going to be for A. On B, we're just going to worry about ordering up the lengths of the angles. Again, in terms of, let's put a little. So for B, the smallest side is 13, which means the smallest angle is J. And that's going to be less than the next smallest side, which is 25, which is going to be opposite angle K. And then that's going to be less than the largest side, which is opposite the largest angle, which is opposite the largest side, which is angle L. So you should be able to order the angles and the sides from smallest to largest. Okay, so this should be enough to get you through the homework. Good luck.